Welcome to PHP Lessons by Professor Code. We are now on Lesson 9, which deals with how to install and configure XDebug in VS Code to allow for step debugging of PHP scripts. Before we proceed, a note on the working environment of the tools being used here. My development machine is running Windows 10 and Apache web server. I'm also primarily using VS Code editor to create and test run PHP scripts. To enable the debugging of PHP scripts in VS Code, it's basically a three-step process, which means installing or configuring two software add-ons or extensions, PHP Debug Adapter and XDebug respectively, followed by editing the php.ini file, and then finalized by creating a launch.json file. The first step begins with PHP Debug Adapter. In VS Code, click on Extensions icon in Activity bar. If PHP Debug is not yet installed, in the sidebar text box, type PHP Debug to search for it. Once it's found, click on Install button to install it in VS Code. Next, we download XDebug from its author's website at xdebug.org. The debug extension is basically represented by a DLL file or dynamic link library. Once downloaded, place the XDebug DLL file in the extensions or ext folder of the PHP software installation. Then, we need to add the following lines in php.ini. The Zen extension directive here will take care of loading the XDebug extension as required for a debugging session. Finally, we need to create a launch.json file. To do so, click on Run icon in Activity bar, click on Create launch.json link, and select PHP as the target environment. The launch.json file will be created with two configurations. Listen for XDebug for browser-based debugging, and launch currently open script for CLI or command line interface debugging. Add this line to the CLI configuration, the runtime executable directive. This instruction will invoke the php.xm module as needed. Save the launch.json file. We're now ready to debug a PHP script. For CLI or no browser debugging, open a PHP file. Select Launch Currently Open Script option in Run drop-down menu. Click on Debug Console icon to activate the window for displaying the program output. Set a breakpoint by clicking to the left of a given statement. Then under Run menu, click Start Debugging. In the toolbar, click on Step Into or Step Over button to begin tracing through the code. There are also the Continue, Step Out, Restart, and Stop buttons. You can also monitor the variables and see their values change while the script is running. Lastly, to debug PHP from a web browser, just select Listen for XDebug from the Run drop-down menu and open the PHP file to debug in both VS Code and the web browser. That ends Lesson 9. Until the next lessons, this is Professor Code signing off.